I wanted to talk about freedom today. You know, all week I've been exploring in classes this level of how yielding goes beyond just learning to have a relationship with the earth, but how it impacts us in so many different ways. And I think I've been experimenting a lot in my practice around cultivating freedom in my body. So, therefore in my mind too. So I'm going to read you something. And this poem, which you've all heard before, I'm sure, by Maya Angelou, Caged Bird by Maya Angelou. And think about it not just in the sense of the ways in which you are feeling free in your mind, body, spirit, and maybe not so free in your mind, body, spirit, but also the ways in which, I think it's an apropos poem for the times about when we as me, as a white person, I am doing more and more work around trying to acknowledge the ways in which freedom is given to me very easily. And that I take for granted, and how to just acknowledge that and offer that to others in my life. So think of this both for yourself, the ways in which you bind yourself and need more freedom, and the ways in which you appreciate your freedom. Okay, so Caged Bird by Maya Angelou. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends, and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on a distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. So go ahead and close your eyes and sit up straight and tall and feel within your own being the difference between that ease of freedom of a bird that sings with freedom, and your own ways in which you feel caged. And how much of it is your own doing? How much of it is your history, your story? How much is it in your body? How much of it is in your mind? Let's try to visualize through the deepening of your breath, the widening of your breath, the expansiveness of your breath, what it feels like to be free inside your own body. Look for ways in which you have little knots, grunties. In yoga, they're called grunties. These little, maybe they're knots in muscles, but knots of tension, knots of internal binding that maybe we can untie. So as you allow the breath to travel through your being, what gives you that big open sky? What gives you that sense of clear, open space? Can you melt the shoulders? Can you bobble around your head just a little bit and notice if there's ways in which you're holding your head up that doesn't need to be held so tightly? Is there tension in your skull itself that can drain away? Is there a softness through your senses, an ease that can come when you release the grip of needing to analyze and identify with the external. Turn your senses to the deep inside. Let the breath travel deep down, feel the diaphragm melt and release. Allow the belly to soften and expand. Travel even down to the pelvic floor in your breath. Feel where you're grounded. And let your grounding be spacious. Even where you are feeling a relationship with the earth, can you feel that it's not something that's locked or too steady, where you can't feel space within it? Try to know that through your practice, always, the breath is the gateway to find these subtler ways of practicing, to find freedom in the body, spaciousness, yielding. If we're looking for these things within us, it's a deep refinement in our practice. And the breath is the boat we travel on. So stay with your breath, the long, steady inhale, the longer, steady exhale. As often as you can, keep checking back with the breath and make sure it's front and center. It's your light, it's your guide. Find a place in your body that feels so free right now. And it could be something very simple like, your inner ears. And just see what can echo from there, what can expand from there. Bring your hands to your heart and bow in. Even your hands can be soft against each other. Offer an intention for cultivating freedom for yourself. And then release the hands. And let's go ahead and come onto our back. And so lie down. Notice the difference here, what it feels like to be horizontal, connecting to the ground in a different way than sitting. Before we start stretching, just find a moment of drop. Let your whole body yield, give over the breath. Notice if any limb is harder to surrender than anywhere else in the body, or maybe it's your head. Just find where you tend to not want to give yourself up and see what you can do to let go. Maybe it's from injury, maybe it's from history, maybe it's from habit. And then let's go ahead and find some movement. So stretch your arms, lengthen through your sides, reach the left a little longer, reach the right a little longer. Enjoy what it feels like to get long in the body. Feel the side windows open and stretch. Enjoy the feeling of a strong stretch, the waking that happens. And then bring your knees into your chest and give yourself a hug. Rock around a little bit. Okay, so swing from side to side. Maybe circling your knees a few times, just checking in. Kind of take stock. How are you? How's your back today? How are your shoulders? How are your hips? Just kind of find all your spots. And then let's check in with the hips a little bit more. Open the knees wide away from each other and back in. And if your knees don't flex well, if you have a little trouble with that, hold behind your knees. There's no reason why you have to grab onto the shins to do this. But just find some range of motion in the hip joints. All right, and then right knee into the chest, left leg long on the floor. Start rolling out the feet and wake up the way your feet feel. Spread out your toes, wiggle some things. Feel the compression, knee into the hip, or knee into the chest, and notice where you want to be. Do you want your knee closer to the midline, further out away? Where's the sweet pocket in the hip flexion for you? Lengthen the spine. Let's switch sides. Left knee is the place where you want to put your knee the same as the other side or in a slightly different vector. Feel the spine grow, still opening up your feet, wake things up. Feel your ankles, your calves. And then let's bring the right knee back in. Sway and rock one more time. Put your feet down onto the ground. Rock your feet, or put your feet maybe a little wider than your hips or in line with your hips. And let's just go left and right. Feel free to add arms in opposition to this. So as knees go left, right arm can stretch. And just wake up the middle part of your body, the top of your hips, the space between your hips and your ribs. Find a little twisting in there, just a little gentle twisting, waking up the vertebrae. And then stretch your legs wide on the floor, arms wide on the floor. Open your starfish up. Open from your navel to your edges. Do you want to squeeze your muscles everywhere you got? Do you want to have a little moment of that pendiculation of hugging, hugging, hugging? And then release. Bring your knees into your chest. Pick up your head. And one more time. Inhale, open up wide and big on the floor. Exhale, knees into the chest. Maybe this time you want to squeeze everything, including your face. And then relax out one more time. Find the sense of space, freedom in the body. It can come with a lot of effort, and it can also come with a lot of ease. And then last time, knees into the chest, round the back. All right, let's roll over onto your side. Come up onto your hands and your knees. So finding a cat-cow. So as you're flat on your back, first yield, good drop into the earth, feel where you're touching the earth, and then start to move the spine. Maybe the spine is where you tend to lose some of your freedom. So, if you don't use it, you lose it, right? So it doesn't have to be big movements through the spine. None of our movements in our yoga practice have to be extreme. But we need to constantly come into the body. This sense of consistency does more for us than extreme. Feel free to move around any way that's working for you. So you can move through your pelvis, you can move through your shoulders. How is your breath guiding you? Find your breathing body. Maybe you want to sway your hips. See what feels right. All right, curl the toes under, stretch back toward the feet. So depending on how uncomfortable this is for you, you may not go very far, but just see what you can do to open up the bottom of the feet a little bit. And then come back up onto all fours. Lay the feet flat, reach the right arm up in the air, find your breath. Exhale and slide that shoulder down and through. Relax your head. Take a deep breath into the back rim of the body. How is the space where the ribs attach to the spine? Open up right there with your breath. All right, and then inhale and reach that arm all the way back up. Place the hand down onto the ground and change sides. Left arm lifting to the sky. Bring that shoulder down. Find a twist here. Gaze toward the floor. Let your head relax. Make sure the base of your skull is soft. Once again, feel the breath touching the inside back ribs right at your spine. What does it feel like to open that space up with the breath? And then inhale, reach your arm back up to the sky. Place your hand down onto the ground. Go ahead and find your way to dog pose. I know there's a few of you in class today that have some shoulder issues going on. So remember, if anything overhead is bothersome to you, you can always find a wall or a piece of furniture, and you can do a one-armed dog pose with your hand on a piece of furniture. So there's lots of ways to modify your practice. I would hate to see anyone decide I can't do yoga or I don't want to do yoga because one part of my body is not able to move well. So experiment. This is your practice. You get to decide how you want to move. Feel free to pedal out your feet, bending your knees, swaying the hips, bouncing, rocking, any kind of coming to your own sense of inner self here. Find the breath again and again. Where do you feel spacious and free in the body?
And freedom doesn't necessarily always come from laxity. So stability can offer freedom. Having banks of the river, boundaries, can offer some freedom sometimes. So feel the structural support of your body. Hug your hands in toward each other. Feel the length of your spine, the heart up toward the pelvis. How are the backs of the legs? All right, and then walk your feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Fold from the hip joints, not from the back. Let the knees bend as much as you want. Start to lift the sit bones so the hamstrings open without strain. Inhale for a halfway lift. The spine gets longer, the hamstrings get longer. Exhale and fold back down. You can use blocks for this. You can hold hands on your thighs or shins to come into a halfway lift. So extend through the spine. The knees are soft. The sit bones lift. Let the hamstrings start to open. Exhale and melt back down. While we're here, open up the feet a lot. So spread out the bones of the feet. Lift the arches like you have a bootstrap across the arches. Lift both sides, inner and outer, up toward the groins. Find the head soften. When you're ready, bend your knees, climb up, reach the arms to the sky, find your breath. If you're not okay with dizziness, just bring your arms down, bring your head down, and squeeze for a moment. Take a deep breath in. Maybe your arms want to be up, maybe they want to be down, maybe they want to be cactus. Just find what's going to give freedom in your upper body for you today. Lift the heart, open the chest, and exhale. And round, open the back of the heart, tuck the chin toward the chest. Inhale, arms up again. Take a deep breath in, exhale, and fold in half. Relax the head. Inhale for a halfway lift. Open up the backs of the legs and the spine. Exhale and melt back down. Grab your blocks if you have them. Come into a lunge, right foot forward, left foot back. Finding your breath, extending the spine. Start to move your body. We're gonna we're gonna go all over the place today, actually. We're not going into any like kind of apex thing. I just want you to feel open and free through your whole body. But we might do a little extra hamstring stuff and see how that works to help your legs stay open. So feel a sense of spaciousness where the heart is expanding. Even when you're dropping your chin, can the heart not collapse inward? Keep the collarbones broad as you move. And when you're ready, come back into a lunge. Feel the hip flexors extend and open here. We're going to walk our back foot in just a little bit more so our stance is shorter. Feel free to have more height underneath you. You can even have your hands higher on furniture or on your hips. Extend the spine, reach the right hip back. Stay grounded through the right big toe. Spread out the bones of your feet. Get your spine to grow. Get your heart to expand so the collarbones broaden. And take a deep breath. Stand up with your legs straight. Reach the arms to the sky if that's comfortable for your shoulders, and just twist to the side. Drop the shoulders away from the ears, finding the breath. Invite some strength through the center line of the body. And then inhale and bring that arm back up, back foot forward. Reach your arm, exhale, and fold in half. Inhale for a halfway lift. Let's do the same warming up poses on the second side. Left foot forward, right foot back. Let's start to move as you're ready. Opening and closing, well, not closing, but just opening different parts of the body. You can release the head down as you straighten your legs a bit. Don't worry about going so extreme. Try to keep the hips square. The most important thing you can do in this is breathe. How are your collarbones? Are they staying broad so you don't collapse the chest? What does it feel like in the body to kind of move back and forth, slowly opening some different places? Okay, find your way into a lunge. Let's stay here for a moment. Stretch the back hip flexors, lengthen the spine. So instead of picking your head up, look down at the floor so the spine is staying stable. Hug into the midline with your legs. And then let's walk the back foot in some. Square the hips. Stay rooted through the left big toe as you reach the hip back. Blocks can come higher. Take whatever height you need.
Keep extending the spine. Inner spiral of the thighs, sit bones widen. Stay rooted through the feet and lift the arches. How's your breath? Let's go ahead and come on up. Bring your arms, if they're comfortable, up to the sky. Whoa, up to the sky. Let's go ahead and twist to the left. Try to find the inner spiral with your thighs so that you're not rolling this front hip out. Find the center, your obliques, the center strength to open you. Don't worry where your arms end up. So, follow. You can go past too if that helps your back. Just see what kind of movement feels best in your body. Are you still able to breathe? Inhale, reach both arms up to the sky. Walk your back foot forward, touch your toes. Inhale, lift your arms to the sky. Exhale, tree pose with your arms back. Hold steady, get kind of low. Start to engage your quads, let things warm up a little bit. Bring your palms to your heart or your arms to the sky. You decide how you can cactus your arms, bring your arms out. Find your favorite way of being in chair pose. Knees draw back toward the pelvis. Start to feel the arches lift again into the upper thighs, into the hips. Find your breathing. As you start to warm up the legs, see what happens to your breath. Can you keep it steady? Can you keep it even? Is there a sense of softness and freedom living within the effort? And remember, you can always have a block between your thighs if this is more stable for your knees. Great way to practice chair pose. And then inhale, stand all the way up, arms to the sky. Exhale and float in half. Halfway lift again. Find your breath. Release back down. Come back to dog pose. Stretch out through your hands and your feet, extending through the spine. Finding your breath here, making sure that you have both stability and freedom living here. How are the bottom of your feet? Can you stretch your heels back and then down? Can you lift the arches all the way up to the inner and outer groins? Feel the inner spiral of the thighs, the sit bones widen. Lift the femur bones up into the hip joints and back. How's the breath? When you're ready, right leg lifts in the air. Engage your hamstrings and your glutes now on this side. Feel the extension through your spine. Deep breaths. Exhale, knee to nose. Just bring it in. Shoulders over wrists. Inhale, bring it back. Exhale, one more time. Bring it right in. Feel the center of the body compress. Inhale, feel the center of the body lengthen. Let's bring our foot all the way forward. Come into a lunge on this side. Crescent lunge. So find your way slowly. Take your balance however you need it. You can be deep in this lunge. You can back away. You can have the foot out to the side more. Put your arms in a place that's comfortable for your shoulders. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Feel the rhomboids in the back body. Feel that sense of a little racetrack down your spine so that you're dropping at the same time as engaging. Feel the breath. Engage your core so you're not collapsing into the center of your body. Find your breathing. Now we're going to twist in a lunge. So don't worry about your arms. You can even take your hands on your hips if you're trying to nurse a shoulder. There's no reason you have to have your arms out to feel the center of your body work a bit for the posture. And then inhale, reaching the arms to the sky. Place the hands down onto the ground, back foot forward, halfway lift. Exhale all the way back, dog pose. Inhale, lift the left leg up in the air. Square the hips, feel the engagement in your glutes and in your hamstring. Extend through the spine. As your next exhale comes, knee to nose. All your breath out. Inhale, bring it back. Exhale, knee to nose. You can always modify any of this. Bring the leg up. Now we're going to bring our foot through, come to a lunge on this side. Take your time, find your steady feet. So put your feet where you need them to be. Come on up, bring your arms where you want them to be. Notice if your floating ribs, see if you were here yesterday and we worked a lot with the The expansiveness of the heart being from a melting place instead of a pushing place. See if you can melt the floating ribs. It can be work, but it also can be soft to draw the ribs in. Let's twist. So let the exhales find some of your core strength. Let the inhales find some of the spaciousness. Hands can be on your hips or anywhere you want them to be. Try not to let this knee get wobbly. Stay stable. Hugging the inner thighs in. How's the length of your spine? How is your breath? Okay, and then when we're ready, come on back. Reach the arms. Place the hands down, plank pose. Hold steady here, shoulders away from the ears, finding your breath. Deep inhale, deep exhale. You feel both balance of strength and freedom. Find your way down, however you best come down to the floor. Inhale, cobra pose. Don't push too far. Exhale and release back down. Feel the strength of your core, so stabilize through your center body. Let this sense of restraint give you the freedom to come up, and just notice if your body, your center body feels a little more free when you have stability. Exhale, down you go. Back bend of your choice. Anything you want to do, just feel the back line of the body, the hamstrings, the glutes, the muscles along your spine. Exhale and melt. Turn your head to the side, pick up your feet, and rock left and right. Deep inhale and exhale. And then when you're ready, come on up onto all fours. Have a moment of freeing up your spine again. Breathing. And find your way to dog pose. And just notice if your effort to try to align well, to do things quote unquote correctly, does it give you freedom or does it give you a cage? So try to let the alignment be a guide, kind of like clearing a pathway in the forest, instead of making you feel like you're locked into a certain way. So our practice is our own. Listen to your body and trust what it's telling you instead of anyone else, me included. Lift the right leg up in the air. Take a breath. Bring that foot forward. Come to a lunge. Okay. Come on up and we're going to turn to the side. So find your way. We're going to come into triangle pose first. If you want, grab a block. Okay. So as we open up our hamstrings in this posture, try not to lean on the hamstring attachment. See if you can have a little softness in your knee. Feel the openness through your chest and come down lightly on your leg or on the block. So if you're holding something, try not to lean on it. Be really light. Have your legs working so that front hamstring, even though there's a lot of stretch going on, can there be engagement within your stretch? Have the sense of rooting through your feet and lifting through the arches. Both legs. Find the back leg too. Maybe your arm wants to come up. Maybe your hand wants to stay on your hip. Feel the length of your spine. Find wherever you go in this pose, whatever's natural for your body. Maybe you want to turn your head, maybe you don't. Can you feel that you're opening up the hamstring in that front leg without overdoing right at the attachment of your sit bone? It's okay to bend your knee a little bit, much better than having your knee hyperextended. Turn and open the chest. Root down through the back heel as you turn and open. How's the breath guiding you? All right, come on up. Find your breath here. Come in to Virabhadrasana 2. So feel free to move a little bit if you like to flow through your posture first. Feel free to flow a little bit through your posture. And then when you're ready, let's hang out. Now once again, maybe your hands want to be here. Maybe you want to have some platters in your hands. Maybe your hands want to be up with your palms up or down. You decide what is feeling best for your body. Do you feel free? Are you able to align in a place that's soft enough for some mobility in the body instead of locking? Work with the hips, let them turn a little bit if you need to. If you're turning the pelvis, turn the chest to follow the pelvis. So your pose may look weird compared to what you quote unquote think it should look like. Go by what you feel, not by what you look. Deep inhales, race cars down your back, shoulder blades down on the exhales. Can you melt the heart open? Can you expand on the breath? Slide that hand down, reach the rib, open it up. We're coming back to triangle pose again. So second time around, just see how it feels. Open the chest, and maybe you need to go higher. You know, maybe having some extra height. If you have 2 blocks and you want to use blocks, you can stack 1 block under the other block. Sometimes height can be much more freeing in the body than depth. So as always, if you're looking to figure out how deep in your body to go, the breath is your guide. Always look, can I breathe? Do I feel stable? Do I have freedom in my body? Sometimes when we go really deep, we start to lose our freedom. Collarbone stretching to the hands. Okay, inhale, come on up. Go ahead and turn your foot so that your 2 feet are long. We're going to come halfway, so you can move your blocks. We're going to have our hands on our hips and come just into a flat back. So this is a lot of work to hold the hamstrings like this. Bend your knees a teeny bit or maybe a lot. If you have too much pressure on the attachments of your sit bones, put your hands down. Support yourself. Can you feel that there's work and release simultaneously in the hamstrings? And then as you're ready, fold a little bit deeper and put your hands where they want to go. Maybe they want to go to some dog pose arms. Maybe they want to be underneath your head or shoulders. Breathing deep. We're going to drop weight into our right knee, right foot, and stretch open our left leg. So our inner hamstring, you know, you may think this is more your inner thigh, but it's really your inner hamstring. Feel the heart grow forward as you stretch that open. Flex your foot in the air. And then we're going to come back around to the other side, bending to you wherever your knee bends. So if you don't go into deep flexion, that's okay. Maybe your hands need to be on blocks instead. Lift your toes up off the ground. Stretch through your foot, lift through your heart, stretch your heart forward. Try not to collapse and sink toward the floor. Feeling the inner hamstring stretch open, be mindful to not hyperextend at the knee. You can bend this knee a little bit. And then go ahead and come back. Heel toe your feet a little bit closer. We're going to come into a wide squat. Okay. So open up now, your inner thighs will feel a little bit more open. So let your elbows kind of push your knees away. Spread out the bones of your feet. Let your sit bones drop and settle back toward the wall behind you. Stretch your heart. Deep hip flexion and some rotation. And then we're going to come on up. Come to a starfish. Maybe your arms come up, maybe they don't. Check in with your attachments of your hamstrings. Make sure you're not overdoing. Let's go ahead to the second side. Finding Virabhadrasana or triangle pose first. So let's come into the posture. And now you may notice after doing a deeper hamstring stretch, you might notice just how much of a hamstring stretch this pose is. So take any height that you need. You can either have your hand on your leg somewhere or on blocks. Be very gentle with your hand if it's on your leg or blocks. So we're not just holding ourselves by the weight coming down. Turn and open the chest. Remember, depth is not important. There's absolutely no reason to think that you need to have your hand near your foot. Okay, so the higher you go, the more capacity you have to stabilize your hamstring with some work in it, and the more you have the capacity to open the spine and breathe. Okay, so find your posture. Look up if it's comfortable. Shoulders moving down the back. Feel those tracks down the spine. Support your core as you twist open. Feel the grounding of your feet. Can you lift through the arches? Can you root through the bones of your feet? Is your hamstring opening but not hyper opening? Okay, so gentle. You want to feel this in the belly of your muscle, not at your sit bones or knee. Come on up. Take a breath. We're gonna bend our knee, stretch your arms if you want, put your arms in a different place if you want. Where do your hips need to be? Where are you feeling that you are aligned, that you have that alchemy of stability, and working hard for the stability, but there's also a sense of ease, that freedom happens in the body. Release your cages. Where are you bound? Find your little grunties and untie them. Deep inhales, long exhales. The feet are grounded, spread open the bones, lift the arches. Finding the inhale and the exhale. And then when you're ready, you can reach that arm up, feel the extension. And we're gonna come into triangle pose one more time. Be very mindful when you come into this posture to not overdo. So maybe experiment, see what it feels like to go higher. What happens in the body when you don't go so deep? What are you now able to feel that you weren't before? What feels more stable? What is more free? Deep inhale, even longer exhale. Shoulders move down. Feel the turn, the twist of the ribs, the spread open of the collarbones. Let's go ahead and come back up. Okay, swing back to the front of your mat. Come into dog pose. Feel the inner spiral of your thighs. Enjoy. After all the external rotation, internally rotate a little bit. Feel some ease across the heads of the femur bones. Deep inhales and exhales. Come forward into a plank when you're ready. Shoulders stay over wrists. You can always put your knees down to the floor if you're needing extra support here. Can you breathe in to freedom? Can you breathe out to stability? All right, put your knees down if you need to. Come all the way to the floor, back bend of your choice. See what feels good in your body. Find your breath. And then release the hands. Turn your head the opposite way than you did before and windshield wiper your knees. Put your knees back down for a moment. Just feel the breath. Yield into the ground here. Feel your body drop. Your limbs are heavy. Where does your breath travel? And then as you're ready, let's go ahead and come back up onto all fours. Start wiggling through your spine, moving, swaying, anything that feels good in the spine. Maybe a cat-cow. Find your way back to dog pose. Bend your knees and bend your elbows. So kind of hug in toward the shoulders, hug your knees in toward the pelvis. Feel that sense of, coming home into the center, and let this be supportive. And then go ahead and walk your feet forward. Fold from the femur bones in the hip joints. Pull the femur bones back in the heads of the hip joints. Relax your head. Inhale and rise all the way up. Find your way. Deep breaths. Grab a strap. Okay. So for our balance, always got to throw in a little balance, right? Root down into your right foot, and you can do this two ways. We're going to go in two different directions. So we're going to be here, and then we're going to twist. So you can have your knee, or if you want, wrap the strap around your foot and have your legs straight, okay? So first, if you're using the strap, 2 hands on the strap. See what it feels like to not let your femur bone that you're standing on push forward, okay? See what it feels like to have that alignment of the head of the femur bone moving back. It doesn't matter if your foot is down here toward the floor or up high perpendicular to the ground. You decide where you're going to be. Softness in the knee you're standing on. Root to rise. Feel the earth give you back up through the spine. Find your breath. If you're using the strap, take the strap into your right hand, and we're going to twist to the right. Head of the thigh bone moving back, lift the spine, soften the knee, drop the hip down, try not to hike it up, out and up, stretch through the arches of your feet into that strap. Then plug the arches back in to the femur bone. All right, and then release and come out of the pose. 2 feet on the ground. Maybe you want to jump. Maybe you want to hop. Maybe you don't. Okay, just find that sense of returning. Before going to the other side, let's yield here. Drop in. Feel the ways in which the earth supports you. Give yourself over. Notice if balance has brought you deeper into your cage. It's very typical when we try to strive towards success that we get tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. So see what you can do on this side to get more and more open instead of tighter and tighter. The breath. Maybe you're holding your knee. Maybe you're using the strap. Maybe your foot is down here. Maybe your foot is up here. Whatever you're doing, this left thigh bone, instead of pushing it forward, pull it back. Lift through the crown, yield into the earth. Soften the knee. Find space. Freedom. This is a binding pose. We're stuck here, where it's like, I want to just not fall down. Let yourself fall down. If it means you've lost your freedom, better to fall in freedom than be still in binding. Okay, we're going to twist here when you're ready. The breath is your gateway. Hold on to the strap with the opposite hand, so left hand on the strap. Maybe your right hand comes behind you. Maybe your hand's on your hip. Internally rotate your leg in the air. Drop the hip down. Soften your standing knee. Head of the femur bone back. Yield into the earth. Lift through the crown. Find your breath. Find the space. Find the freedom. Where is it? Where is a little bit of freedom in the body or in the mind? And then come back around. Undo the strap. 2 feet on the ground. Maybe you just want to swivel and sway. Okay. Maybe you want to hop. Feel your breath. Deep inhale. Deep exhale. Reach the arms up. Big wide circle around. Come folding forward. Check your back. Make sure you didn't take strain. Feel free to wag the tail, bobble the head. Come down onto your knees. We're going to come into pigeon pose with your right foot forward. If you want to do reverse pigeon pose and come onto your back, that's great too. Choose what kind of support you want underneath your right hip if you want to be doing pigeon pose. Okay, so you get to decide how you support yourself in this posture. Lengthen through your spine. Do you want your heel close to your pubic bone or pulled a little further out? Find what's working for you. Do you want some support of blocks underneath your head? So see what's working for your body. Find your way here. Square up the hips, sit bones widening. Inner spiral your back leg. Know where your freedom lives. So, sometimes we have to kind of meet the edge of tightness in order to cultivate more freedom in the body. But always when you're here, even if you're meeting a boundary, the breath should feel expansive. You should have freedom in the breath, even if you are right up against the edge of a boundary of movement, of range of motion in your body. When you meet up against a boundary of range of motion, what tightens? Is it just the area in your hip that you're rotating? Or is it your neck or hands or shoulders or feet or jaw or tongue? Find all the other places that respond that don't have to. And maybe if you can soften there, it will melt a bit of your boundary in your hip. And the goal here is to not push past a boundary. Don't even have the goal that you want a wider boundary. Have the goal that you want to feel spacious at your boundary.
Long exhales. As you're ready to come out of there, you decide, do you like to go up into dog pose and swing your leg up and get a lot of freedom that way? If you're in reverse pigeon pose, you can just switch sides, unless you're doing pigeon on one side and reverse on the other. So maybe this leg needs less or more support coming into the pose. How do you want the angle of your shin to be in relation to your pelvis? Do you want support underneath your thigh and your sit bone, or just your sit bone? So experiment with all the ways that you can adjust and support yourself. Once you're where you want to be, check your back leg and make sure it's not out to the side. If you look at me, a lot of times we kind of we bring our leg out. Make sure your leg is in line with the hip, the kneecaps on the floor, your toes can curl under or lay flat. There's a little inner spiral, so let the outer hip soften toward the floor and melt the left sit bone at the same time. Come into your length, come into your breath. Maybe the posture stays upright for you. Maybe you want to come down and rest your head on something. Don't assume your two sides are the same, because they probably aren't. If you tend to have a very tight side, a nice way to practice, if you're trying to cultivate, and once again, really try to let go of the goal of I must open, I must open, I must open. But if you do have one side that's significantly tighter than the other and you're working to seek balance, if you start with the side that's tighter and then go to the other side and then repeat, sometimes you can get a little bit more balance that way, because you've had the memory of the discrepancy, and there's a way for you to kind of breathe into it sometimes the second time around. You don't have to do that, but it's just a suggestion. Once you're here, melt. The shoulders relax, the jaw, the tongue. Having your head on something can be very helpful to let the upper body ease in this posture. So even as you're coming against a boundary, find freedom within. See if you can let go of your internal grunties. Be like the bird that is not in a cage. Can you feel the big sky in your body? Can you feel the wind? Can you travel on the wind? Can you ride the current? A sense of freedom, moving with energy. When you're ready to come out of the posture, once again, you decide how you like to come out. Do you want dog pose? Do you want to swing that leg around? Whatever you're finding. We're all going to meet on our back. Okay. Bring the knees into the chest and rock a little bit. Okay. Let your hips relax from the deep rotation. Grab onto your strap one more time. Find your strap first. We're going to lift two legs straight up in the air. Now, if you've had enough of the hamstring stretching, feel free to bend your knees in this. If you want to have some length, then straighten your legs. Let this be soothing more than stretching. And if you don't have a strap, you can just hold behind your legs somewhere. You can even do this with your knees totally bent. Okay, we're really trying to just release the hips a little bit. All right, and then relax and lower your legs down to the ground. Let's take a twist to each side. Lift up your hips, scooch them right, knees come up and drop them left. Open up the rib cage, breathe your way into some space here. Lift up your hips, scooch your hips the other way, bring your knees up and drop them left, or drop them the other side. Find your breath, open the chest. All right, and then as you're ready, bring your knees back up. So we have time, a couple of minutes for a restorative pose. So choose what you want to do. Maybe you want a long Shavasana. Maybe you want to put your legs up the wall or up on your couch. Maybe you want to find your way into Supta Baddha Konasana. If you have some props, you can prop underneath your knees and underneath your back if you have even more props. Okay, so maybe you want to do heart bench if you have 2 blocks and you want one underneath your back and one underneath your head. So you decide what posture is calling to you right now. Okay, so hopefully you have some props. If you have no props, I would suggest doing leg up the wall pose because you don't really need anything to do that. And it can just be up a wall, or you can have your legs up on the edge of a couch or a chair, depending on where you are in your house. And this is a nice soothing posture after a lot of the work we did with the hips and legs today. So you do you. Okay, so whatever you're finding, once you settle into the posture, melt the body. We're going to be here for a couple of minutes. We're going to enjoy it. So the most important thing you can do is make sure that whatever you're feeling is cultivating freedom in your body. Remember, the breath is your gateway to experiencing that freedom. Can you melt wherever you feel those little grunties, whatever tight little binds you have in your body? Is there a way to uncage, open the cage? Melt the breath in to wherever you're working with. Feel the yielding. Give yourself over to the earth.
As you are ready, let's come out of this posture and come onto your back again. Come into knees to the chest and rock. Come into happy baby pose. Anything, some circles, anything that's going to release the pose you just did. Depending on what you did, you may need to do different things right now. And then once you're ready, find your way into Shavasana. So once again, just return to the deep letting go. The breath is the guide into space. Feel the earth below you. Relax your limbs. Relax your head. Soften all the places in your skull, your eyes, your jaw, your tongue. Melt into the breath. Let's slowly deepen our breathing. Start to invite movement in the body, however serves you best. Find your way into a stretch, maybe with your arms overhead. Maybe bring your knees into your chest and come onto your side. Use your arms to help yourself upright, coming to a seat that's it's comfortable and supported for you. Let's bring our hands together at our heart and offer your spaciousness, your presence. Share your energy. Be like the open, caged, free bird. Let your energy ride. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.